Yeah, good morning. It is Monday somehow. I'm not sure how this all happened, y'all. It just seems like it was Friday afternoon and woof, here we are. Currently 45 as we wait for a high of somewhere around 69. It will gradually become sunny the later the day gets. We're going to have a few clouds this morning making way for that. Now, we'll get into the forecast coming up here in just a few moments. Y'all be prepared. This is not anything that you want to take lightly. If you're anywhere in the state of Mississippi, state of Alabama, back to Texas and Louisiana, it's going to be a rough 24 hours from now as we get ready for a storm that's going to be moving through the area tomorrow. Our timeline in the Meridian area, somewhere between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. is when the worst of the storm should hit. We'll go over the guidelines of where it is to the west and how it comes across. We've got all that coming up this morning and where it is and all the locations. We'll get into that to let you know. Now, again, tomorrow afternoon, if you've got, make plans now. When we say make plans of a place to go in case a tornado warning is issued for your area, where your home is. And we've gotten really good at being able to detect what area of the county. So it gives you time enough to where you can possibly get to another place if your home doesn't have a tornado shelter. Make your plans now. Figure out where you're going to go. We'll get into all of that here in just a little bit. We want you safe. We have been very fortunate. And me and Odie are going to show you this morning. One of the guys that I trust that forecasts all of this stuff dealing with tornadoes, Reed Timmer, he's made a forecast of what he thinks how many tornadoes will happen in the state of Mississippi this year. Woof. And when I tell you woof, we'll go over that later on this morning beginning at 7 a.m. We'll be right back as we'll get into national headlines. What is shaping America? What's going on in the world that you need to know about? I'll tell you about that next. Let's go to Collinsville now, First Baptist.
You know, here in the state of Mississippi, we're no strangers to tornadoes. And like it or not, we reside in what meteorologists call the Dixie Alley, which is a region here in the southeast that's prone to tornadoes. But thankfully, we have men and women working hard to give us as much warning as possible. The wrath of the storm is coming, but with their help, we can make it to shelter and safety before it hits. And in that shelter, we will not experience that wrath outside. You know, the Bible talks about the wrath to come in 1 Thessalonians 1:10. But it's not talking about a tornado. It's talking about something much more fearful. It's talking about the wrath of God. Now, given the culture that we live in, folks don't like to talk about the wrath of God, but it's a reality. Just like tornadoes here in Mississippi are a reality, right? I mean, we'd be foolish to ignore the wrath of a tornado, but how much more foolish would we be to ignore the wrath of God? The wrath of God is the outpouring of righteous judgment on sinners. It's a holy fury that's coming up on every person who dies guilty of sin. And look, that's awful news because the Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, that all are guilty of sin without excuse and have earned the wrath of God. But just like the wrath of the tornadoes we experience here in Mississippi, there is a shelter we can run to be safe from God's wrath. That shelter is Jesus Christ. 1 Thessalonians 1:10 says that Jesus rescues us from the wrath to come. And today is your early warning. Beloved, the wrath of God is coming, but if you'll run to the shelter of Jesus Christ, you'll be saved. Turn from sin, trust in Jesus as Savior and Lord, and thank God that your sins are forgiven. Please, don't ignore this early warning. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Next service is Wednesday night, downtown Collinsville. Hope you can make it if you need a church to go to. As we begin our headlines this morning across America, what's shaping it? Well, as we look to our future, this was big when I was in high school. I can remember going each day. I remember I took, I believe, starting in 9th grade all the way to my senior year, shop class. Well, it taught you a lot. Teach you fundamentals of building something, welding something, how to just work on things, using bandsaws. Across America, we're seeing that they're reviving this all across America. Shop class. They're expecting manufacturing to return to America. Pretty good. Our next thing, and I really truly wish this would become a thing again, to where we had home ec again. Do we realize how many people have no idea how to cook, what to do in a home situation? It has nothing to do with man, woman. I think a lot of it could have got down to some liberalism, to where people thought we were, I don't know the answer to it, but we've done away with a class that really taught someone to make it on their own, how to raise a family. It taught a lot, and that needs to come back. Again, I don't know the exact wording of what I'm trying to explain there, but it's a fundamental necessity we need in America. Minnesota, we go next. Oh, we're talking to a pizza shop, and they're trying to back up and, well, take back what they done. A group of reporters, Republicans, had gone in to eat. They had been in session. They went in to eat. They weren't having a meeting. They were just eating, and they were run out, told they were not welcome there. After people have complained in the community, they're trying to back up and say that they're sorry. It was a misunderstanding, and everybody at the meal says no, it was not a misunderstanding. It doesn't matter what you're Democrat, Republican, you should be able to eat in peace. Do y'all remember a few years ago when, what was it, Sarah Huckabee went to eat somewhere and they declined for her to eat? That was wrong. Even though me and Joe aren't on a first name basis, he ought to be able to eat somewhere that he wants to, get some ice cream. Even that little Tim guy that somebody said he was running for vice president. I don't remember his name. Tim, what was his last name? Yeah, Tim. Yeah.
Who cares?
Tim, no cares. But here's the interesting thing about that. He is considering really running for president himself next time in 28. Tim Walz, that's what his name was. The first almost lady of America. Well, yeah, I'm picking, but he ain't got a chance. We'll leave it at that. How much has the U.S. spent on Ukraine? Well, it's back and forth of what I'm told. I've heard one figure of $350 billion. I've heard another one somewhere, billion now, with a B. And I've heard another figure of $170 billion. I'm not sure which is right. There's two different stories that are out there. We'll try to get to the bottom of that. Either way, whether it's 170 or 350 billion, that's a lot of your tax dollars you'll never get back. JD Vance is who I'm talking about, went to go on a ski trip in Vermont. Protesters met him as he came to town. One news source is saying it was about a mile long. I wasn't there and I haven't seen the video yet, but he did have protesters without a doubt. They were mad at him over the Ukraine. They'll get over it. What else has happened? Alabama, as we get ready for Mobile, as they're getting ready for the final Fat Tuesday Mardi Gras, this big boat is ahead of schedule and most likely will pass. The USS USA, is that what it's called? Am I right on that? Let me see the name of it. The SS United States is going to be passing through, and it will stop in Mobile and then go on to Florida for its final resting, as they'll sink it and use it as a reef.
Next year.
Yeah, it's coming through. They're expecting it to make it through Mobile during Mardi Gras.
It's coming there to get dismantled and cleaned up.
Yeah. Interesting there. It's a huge ship. Somebody had a picture of it this weekend that I saw as it was setting out with the fog around it, and it looked like this big ghost ship. It has been used and used and used.
It still holds the transatlantic speed.
40 miles an hour. Yeah, the fastest.
40 miles an hour, something like it. Yeah.
Transatlantic speed. That's true. In my world, things are black and white sometimes. There's a right, there's a wrong. When I go vote and I go in, they ask for my driver's license, I have no problem with that. And I don't think most Americans would. Now, you've got to consider this now. The United States has your Social Security number if you're an American citizen. They've got all of that information. What is wrong with going in and giving your Social Security number? They've got your fingerprints too. What would be wrong with touching the screen with your fingerprint to prove who you are, that you're a United States citizen? I don't understand where the controversy is. If you're an American, you shouldn't be fighting this. GOP, as I look at this headline, is pushing ahead with citizenship voting bill. And as you well know, other states are fighting this. I don't know that it'll ever pass through. But it's plain and simple. If you vote for any federal office, You should be a United States citizen and be able to prove that, just like you do on your local elections when you go in and you have to, or sign up to go to school and you have to show your water bill proving that you live in that school district. What is the problem, America? Who is stopping this? It's my 2 cents on that. We'll see. I looked up this guy. He's from Nebraska. He's a senator from Nebraska. And he was talking about Doge, how they're going in and finding all of this different stuff that has happened and waste of money. He says it's stunning. He has found 37,000 software licensed for a government agency with only 13,000 employees. They weren't using it. He said many of them have never been used. We have 2.4 federal employees. Get this, we've got 2.4 million federal employees, and we have 4.6 million credit cards out there. He said that just leads to fraud. We have 22 million people in our Social Security system that are dead. 22 million. Those checks are going somewhere. And it makes me wonder on that, has that ever been audited? Do you remember how long ago, what was it, they were looking at hiring 88,000 new IRS agents to come after the little guy? Y'all remember that? But yet they haven't checked to see who's passed away and where those checks are going. We really, truly haven't had a checks and balances. In your household, how long would you keep paying a cable bill when you didn't have it? How long would you continue paying for an electric bill of a house you moved out of? It's the same thing. You can't afford to keep going like this. Hopefully someone with some common sense on this will do some... Where's Shad White? I bet he could put a damper into all of that. We have, what do we got here? A Minneapolis man is going to jail. He tried to join an Islamic State group. He praised them for what they'd done in New Orleans. They went to visit. He was serious. He's gone to jail now. Can't be doing things like that in America. There's a word for that. Well, here's one that maybe I just have been looking elsewhere and not paid attention. Andrew Cuomo, do y'all remember him? He resigned amongst all those sexual harassment charges. He was the governor of New York. He resigned. He says now he wants to run for for mayor of New York. Hadn't we had enough of that? I'm not sure how much political clout he has left. And what become of his brother that used to be on CNN? I hadn't heard much out of him. Maybe they can team up. First mate and second mate. Good luck to him there. Here's something that I did not know, and maybe every other American knew this, and I did not. An executive order has been signed making English the official language of U.S. I really thought that was already in place. Or did we just take it for granted all these years that it was? I truly thought that it was. But as we read in between the lines, he's made an executive order to make it the language of the U.S. Wow. Learn a little bit more every day. Louisiana, and there's an investigation already being brought into this. You send your kids off to college to learn, to make a living for themselves on their own. Louisiana college student has died at an off-campus event dealing with a fraternity. It was not there. An investigation has been started. They have not released what actually was going on this off-campus event that did deal with a fraternity. Louisiana, Baton Rouge, it's where it all happened. That's a shame. Now, a few of you will know what I'm talking about on this, others won't. Small businesses know exactly what this is. Have you heard the term the BOI report? This was a report only for small businesses that you had to give all this extra information about your business. Biden signed this into law, stating that if you didn't, you would receive a $500 fine each day until you turned this information in. The Treasury Department has announced that they are suspending any and all requirements to this. Again, a little bit over government, costing the little man more and more and more. And again, at the end of the day, y'all think about this. All across America, it's the small-town businesses that make this. When you need a hardware store, you need something small, they're out there. The little guy. The guy washing cars. And it gets bigger and bigger with small businesses. It turned into major businesses later. But they were going after the little guy. That's going away now. That's good. Uh-oh. And I've never been there and looked at it. Anybody ever been to the U.S. Mint site? Well, guess what they're taking down? They had some coins on the U.S. Mint site that was making the police officers of January 6th heroic for their battle against those who broke down the doors and went into the Capitol. Again, I've watched the video. The doors were open and they were welcoming them in. I remember seeing this. The coins are gone now off of the website. I won't go any deeper. You fill in the blanks. You watch the information yourself. They've had to return a box. I bet that was a bad look when they walked in and set this down, but FBI has returned the box of everything they took from Mar-a-Lago in that early morning raid when they went through the First Lady's underwear drawer. Y'all remember all this? She ain't forgot it yet. That's never happened to a former president ever. They've returned all that was taken that day. I did not know this young lady, but she was an R&B singer. Her name was Angie Stone. She died near Montgomery, Alabama over the weekend in a car accident. She had gone and done a performance, and she was killed in a car accident. We send out condolences to her and her family. She had Grammy nominated. Bless her heart. I hate that happened. Near Montgomery, Alabama is where that happened. Here's a big one. It's just, I wish it had happened before. I truly do. Trump will sign a pardon for Pete Rose. Man, no one's ever outdone Pete. Did he do a little wrong? He most certainly did. I think they drug that out, and he did pay for his sins of what he did of the gambling. And before he died, I really wish that had happened. It's happening now as Trump gets ready to sign executive order. They're expecting this to happen within the next 2 weeks. I'm sure he's got some higher ones that prioritizing to help the American people, but he is going to make this happen. Pete Rose was, by all means, a baseball legend. I don't think anybody's really touched
his team to win.
Yeah, bet on his team to win.
He didn't bet on his team and then.
Yeah, he didn't rig anything.
No.
But he admitted at the time, yes, I did this. He didn't try to lie like a lot of them do these days. He admitted to what he had done wrong. Pete Rose. And again, he was a legend, like him or not, however you want to put this on paper, he will get a pardon. We're sending 3,000 extra people down to the border. Troops, that is, not just average Joes to watch. This is going to be more troops headed to the border. They're serious about this. You're not going to be able to get in without doing it the legal way. Now, I got several messages of this weekend of what's going on in Dallas. There's a cheerleading camp going on, and I heard that there had been gunfire there. Dallas police investigated, and there was not a shooting. There was a fight that broke out near where the cheerleading camp was, but there was no gunfire. Thank heavens. I know there was a lot of parents panicking over this. I'd gotten several messages of this, and nowhere could I find where it was legitimate shooting, so we didn't post anything about it. And it ended up being, as we see after the investigation, it just being a fight that broke out. Thank heavens. We're glad of that. Captain America, still the #1 movie in America. That's pretty good. I hadn't seen it. We'll have to investigate to let you know if it really is or not. That first one, over the top. I think they got a new character playing Captain America now.
It was Hulk or whatever it
Hulk,
was.
and I think he was against guns, if I remember right. He was a gun activist. This is getting ready to happen. South Carolina preparing this week for the firing squad. That's what he has chosen. Now, when you are up for this, you get to choose which way you want to go: lethal injection, a firing squad, and I think there's one other choice. His attorney is saying this is barbaric. Well, your client chose it, and let's talk about barbaric just a moment. As your client beat his girlfriend's parents to death. Where were you to stop that? You weren't there. God will sort it out. It's coming this week. We'll keep you up to date on all of that. State of emergency has been listed for South Carolina as well as wildfires erupt. And boy, have we had those locally. Everywhere. We'll talk about that's a big part of our story this morning coming up at 7 local fires. It's all over. It's not Lauderdale County. It's not just Newton. It is all over the state of Mississippi. Be careful with those matches. We've got more coming up as we'll tell you more doings. We've got the weather forecast for you next.
We welcome you to a new vehicle buying experience here at Doc's Toyota. Buying a new vehicle doesn't have to be stressful, but don't just take our word for it.
This was the best experience I've ever had buying a vehicle.
Doc's employees are top-notch.
I drove 2 hours, not once, but twice, to purchase 2 vehicles with a 5-month time frame.
Doc's delivers competitive pricing, a comprehensive selection, and flexible financing options, helping you get on the road from Carthage, Meridian, and beyond. There's a reason why there's no deal like a Doc's deal.
The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're built in, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Our record highs and lows as we go back to 1951. It was a warm day, 84. Who can remember 1980? Really? Okay, you're right. It was a long time ago. 45 years. It was 15 that morning. As we look at today, it's going to be cloudy, high of 68 is what we see across this. Cooler in Columbus at 66, down the river, anywhere from 62 to 69 as you arrive in Natchez. As we look to Bama, it'll be pretty much 65, 68 degree weather all across the great state of Alabama. As we look at what's coming for tomorrow night, by noon, pay attention at Vicksburg. As we get toward Jackson, 2 o'clock in the Meridian area, tornadic activity beginning at 4 p.m. through 8 p.m. We're going to watch this. We are at a level 3 as we look at this, and this comes to a V. We'll talk more about this in a moment, and I'll show it to you on live radar. Be prepared for what's coming. 70-mile-an-hour plus winds, hail, strong winds, and tornadic activity. Look at this wind that we've got there, 9 p.m. to 6 p.m., and of course we're under a wind advisory today as well. As we look to Bama, they're under a level 2. As we look across this warmer weather in the northern portion of the state, average toward the south, toward the coast. As we look at today, 67, 68 for the high. By tomorrow, that bad weather rolls in there with a high of 76. Look at the temperature change there. 67, 76. Then we're back down to 61. And by the weekend, we're getting normal again. 70 on Friday. Whoop, showers Saturday, 40% chance. Maybe it'll fade away between now and then. Let's keep our fingers crossed so we can do some outdoor activities. By Sunday, it's nice, 63. As we move into March, about the 10th there. Look at this 70-degree weather. We stay above 70 from the 10th through the 17th. Even one day almost making 80. My. Now, if we could keep it that kind of temperature all the way through July and August, wouldn't it be perfect? Oh, they got a name for that. It's called the Great Smoky Mountains, isn't it? We can't lie. As we look to our best fishing times today, March the 3rd, northeast wind 5 to 10. Major time to fish is this afternoon around 2:30 until 4:30. Make it out. Hope you enjoy yourself. Sunrise happened this morning at 6:19. Sunset rolls in at 5:54. We've got just enough time to go back and look at live radar of what we've got this morning as we get near this storm moving in. Here's live radar this morning as we go to Doc's Toyota radar. Some showers out to the west and a little bit here in the southwest corner of Lauderdale County, I-20. Some sprinkles, not much there. Let's look to tomorrow, what's coming. Severe weather as we look to today. It stays way out to our west there around Denton and Dallas. As we look at tomorrow, here's what we've got. Look at this. It starts at Shreveport, goes all the way east, that level 3 to Meridian, Mississippi. Let's zoom in a little bit closer here. This is going to cut across about where the landfill is there on Highway 16 in between DeKalb and Scuba. It will go northwest, barely barely taking in just a corner of Noxubee County, but getting all of Louisville, the Winston County area. As we go to the south, this will cut across. Let's turn on locations here. This will cut across at Toomsuba, at the Wright Simmons store, go across where the Boy Scouts are, and go right up to where Causeyville baseball field is, and into Clark County, taking in the city equipment to the extreme corner there of the county. That western side of Clark County is a level 3. As we look at the big picture here, here's Quitman, Pachuta, these areas here. Shabuta on the east side of this at a level 2. Now, I remind you, tornadoes don't know where the line for a 2 and a 3 are. Both of these are very capable of producing tornadic activity. And we've seen these storms move northeasterly across Clark County countless times into Lauderdale County. That little line that takes in through Clarkdale area. Y'all be ready tomorrow. We'll be here to walk you through it street by street to let you know exactly what's happening. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Whew. We'll get the morning show started. Y'all join us, won't you?
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.